Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. If you believe that we're in a simulation right now, that we're all just chilling in a matrix somewhere floating in goo, you got to admit the writers for this season of USA have gotten sloppy. They redid the assassination attempt. It was barely believable the first time. Now they're doing it again. Now you had a guy drop out. Now you got a bubblehead that's replaced him. And now you got people eating dogs and cats. And we have to prove to non-believers who have the same access to Google and YouTube that we have that Haitians are eating wildlife and pets in Springfield. They're still acting like it doesn't happen. So let's just have a little fun with it. What do you say? Back on the James Show. By special request, you guys won't shut up every time I have her on, and I love you for it. Blonde Kamala's back on.
Well, hey there.
Oh, don't even start.
Good to talk to you again.
Don't even. Hang on. God. Hate that laugh. All right, first question here. After the second attempt on Trump's life, are you going to tone down the rhetoric? Are you going to encourage your people to tone down the rhetoric?
Oh, listen, let me be clear. And, because I want to be very specific in the words that I choose when I say the things that I need to say about this. And, what I want to say is that we agree, Donald Trump needs to turn down the rhetoric, right? And, they just need to stop and, and follow our example, follow our lead. Right? You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't agree with that. Well, look, we had some breaking news right before the James Show started. Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chairman, came out and said the Federal Reserve is cutting the funds rate today by 50 basis points. And Kamala, if the economy's doing so great under your tutelage, why do we have a rate cut today?
Right. Well, listen, here's the thing, right? When we talk about something like rate cuts, okay, we need to look at the big picture and the effect that has on communities, because communities are where the people are, and that is who is affected by all of these things. And we intend on doing all of the things that need to be done to make life better in the communities for the people, you know what I'm saying, right?
Well, the question was about the Federal Reserve rate cut, and I don't think you really touched on monetary policy or no.
Right. Yeah. Listen, these are all things that, we're going to take care of it. You don't even have to worry about it, right?
All right, moving on to the next question. Would you like to have another debate?
Listen, anytime, anywhere, any place, anything, I am ready. As I proved in our last debate, I am the best of this, really, right? It's just very clear to anyone who watched that I wasn't nervous at all. I was very calm. I didn't make any facial expressions that were annoying or obnoxious.
No, not at all.
To anyone, right? And and I answered the questions with such finesse and detail, right?
I don't know if I agree with that, but I guess you answered. Are Haitians eating pets and wildlife in Springfield, Ohio?
Oh, listen, nobody is eating anyone's pets, okay?
Well, what about all the people like on the news and at the city council meetings? And
these are tired tropes, James. Tired tropes. That's all they are.
Oh,
that's all they are. And it's just, it's frankly, I am speaking, okay? Frankly, it's racist, right? I mean, we all know that.
Racist against geese? Is that what it is?
Well, listen, your geese is my goose,
Well, I don't want to do any tired tropes. You're right on that one. Let's try this one. Kamala Harris, blonde Kamala. What's a woman?
Well, listen, a woman is, a woman is when someone feels like a woman, right? It's in how you feel, of course. And everybody knows that, okay?
All right, that sounds probably better than the answer you get if you ask the real Kamala Harris. Blonde Kamala, turn your chair around and be Elsa Kurt for a second.
Hey there.
I've noticed you've gotten a lot of new subscribers and followers, and about everything you put up just gets thousands and thousands of views. You guys are doing great over there.
Thank you very much. It's bananas, isn't it? This woman gives me more material than I can actually handle. It's, if I don't make content in one day, I might as well have forgotten that day because she's else or done something else that's just absurd and, has to be mocked. And people always get it a little twisted that, that I'm just being mean to her. No, we're calling her out. It's calling her out with humor. And, the people who aren't laughing are the people who actually agree with her, and that's more scary than anything.
Yeah, it's not like we're saying she's a threat to democracy or she's literally Hitler. Yeah, that's being mean.
Come on. Yeah.
She's going to be a bloodbath. All right, thank you very much, Elsa Kurt. Y'all have to find her stuff on YouTube. It's hilarious. And if you like the impression she just did, I hear from you people in emails and Facebook messages all the time. She has tons of stuff. It's hilarious. You can kill a lot of time when you're on the throne or just in a waiting room or on an elevator. It's good stuff. Elsa Kurt is her name. Elsa, like from Frozen. Kurt. I think she wrote Frozen, didn't she? Isn't that the same Elsa? It's a different one. All right. Thank you, Garrett. All right. If you want to be a part of the show, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. If the economy is so great, why'd the Federal Reserve cut rates today? What does the economy need to be goosed? Why would it need to be goosed? I thought we were in an opportunity economy. Details next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, it finally happened. Let me be the cynical James. Let me be, I don't want to say pessimist, but when I look at the federal funds rate being cut today, first thing I think is, wow, what a coincidence. We are 48 days away from a presidential election. That's kind of a nice coincidence that you can goose the economy and people can go to the ballot box on a sugar high. That's what I heard behind the headlines. Am I too cynical? I don't know. Is there such thing as too cynical if you're right? In fact, it's not cynical if you're right. It's not paranoia if people really are following you around. I see you. Stop doing that. So we have a great show that we're sort of anticipating this. Coming up next, I'm going to talk to the most prolific economist in America right now, Walter Block. We're also going to talk to Bill Dindy, another financial strategist, at 3:05 to answer some of these questions. How is this going to reverberate and affect you? Because this is something that affects all of us. Where, like this, another headline, Dallas County commissioners passed a resolution affirming rights and protections of transgender people. That does not affect you. That does not affect all but a tiny 1% maybe total of our population. That gets a big headline. That's probably going to get more attention than this rate cut. That affects everybody that does business in the dollar. If you're like a Unabomber and you live up in the woods and you're living off the land, this doesn't affect you. For the rest of us, this is something that you're going to be dealing with. So just real quick here, I'll play a cut from Jerome Powell, him explaining himself on why he did it now. And he's not going to come out and tell you the truth. He's not going to say, well, it's almost an election, so we've got to get things goosed. We got to get spirits up. We've got to get you in a good mood before you go cast a ballot.
Our patient approach over the past year has paid dividends. Inflation is now much closer to our objective, and we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%.
I'm not sold. Not impressed. What do you think? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Now, you can be cynical like me. Just don't go overboard with it. If you have some conspiracy theories, I will welcome them there, and we can have a discussion about it. I may not agree with you, but it's 800-288-9227. The interesting part is when it gets to the question and answer session, because Jerome Powell is inherently a political animal. He's a political appointee, and he answers questions like a politician, not like a teacher that's in front of class, not like a radio host who's talking to a caller. He talks just like the rest of them do. So when he's asked a good question, don't expect to get a straight answer. This is going to be about as muddy as possible, but it's the closest thing we have to knowing what they're going to be doing with our dollar.
Howard Schneider with Reuters. close was this in terms of the decision? You do have the first dissent by a governor since 2005, I think. Was the weight clearly in favor of a 50, or was this a very close decision?
All right, so what he means there is 50 basis points. It got cut by 0.5%. So when you see the 0.50, they call it 50 basis points. Usually when you do a cut, it's just by 0.25. It's like by a quarter of a point or 25 basis points. So not only was it a cut, this was a severe cut. This was double a normal cut. So this could lend credence to the idea that, oh, we must be in an emergency situation if they're slamming the rates that much, that fast. But that's the question. You're looking for an answer of how close was this decision? Was it very close or not close? I'm going to let this dude talk for 40 seconds, and you tell me if you get an answer out of this.
I think we had a good discussion. If you go back, I talked about this at Jackson Hole, but I didn't address the question of the size of the cut, left it open, and I think we left it open going into blackout. And so there was a lot of discussion back and forth, good diversity of opinion, excellent discussion today. I think there was also broad support for the decision that the committee voted on. So I would add, though, look at the SEP. All 19 of the participants wrote down multiple cuts this year, all 19. That's a big change from June. Right?
So was it close?
7 of them wrote down 3 or more, 17 of the 19 wrote down 3 or more cuts,
yeah,
and
but
10
was
of
it
the
close?
19 wrote down 4 or more cuts.
Was it 50 basis points
there is
close?
a dissent, and there's a range of views, but there's actually a lot of common ground as well.
You have no idea what the answer to that very simple question is. And what's the harm in him telling people, yeah, it was close? I'm back in that episode of Cheers where the guy's running for city council.
Kevin Fogarty, City Council. I hope I have your vote on election day.
And why exactly should I vote for you, Mr. Fogarty?
Well, because I'm a hard worker, I take a stand.
On what exactly?
The issues of the day.
Which are?
The things that concern you and your family the most. I think you're making it, Thaddeus.
I simply want the councilman to say one concrete thing.
Yes, I understand. You don't trust me. A lot of people don't trust politicians. I know how it is. I have been out there.
What does that have to do with...
May I finish, please? Maybe we need someone to blame. Maybe if we pick some faceless person at City Hall to be responsible for all our problems, then we won't have to accept any responsibility at all. Well, people, I say now is the time to start looking in the mirror. Because if this thing is going to work, we are all going to have to make it work. The way a bunch of people made something work at Lexington and Concord. You may remember it. It's called America.
Yes! But he didn't say anything!
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like to listen to most political speeches, but especially like a Kamala or a Jerome Powell, or the list goes on and on. All right, coming up next, a very cool segment is about to happen because one of the guys I actually admire for his big old fat brain is one of the few people on planet Earth I will easily admit he's smarter than I am. We're 48 days away from the election. He is the most published libertarian economist in the country right now. His name's Walter Block. And he has written an article on the case on why libertarians should be voting for Kamala Harris. Now, he's not trying to tell you what to do. He's just saying from a libertarian point of view why Trump deserves the vote more than Kamala. So that's coming up next. If you have any opinions on that, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Because I'm going to ask you, how would you convince a libertarian to vote for Trump over Kamala? 800-288-9227. 9227. This is going to be fun. Stick with us. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there. Welcome back to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's make the case. Listen, I made it no secret. I'm more of a libertarian than anything else politically, and no one fits perfectly into any box. But I know that's graded some of you the wrong way. Like, where do you get your ideas? Well, one of the main guys I get them from is my next guest, Dr. Walter Block. He is the most prolific Austrian economist, or at least, when you talk about being published in journals and whatnot, in the country, and sort of the titular head, economically speaking, of the school I follow. And he's made a pretty convincing essay on the libertarian case for Donald Trump. Welcome to the show, Walter.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for that compliment.
Right. All right. So convince a blockhead like me to vote for Donald Trump.
Well, Donald Trump isn't great. I'd rather have the libertarian candidate, but that's not really an option. The option is either Kamala or Donald, and Donald is way better than Kamala in terms of being close to libertarianism. He's promised to give a pardon for Ross Ulbricht, a libertarian who's been in jail 10 or 11 years for drug crimes. He's promised to put a libertarian in his cabinet. Kamala hasn't promised anything like that. And in addition, Donald is not a libertarian. He isn't a free enterpriser. The tariffs are bad. But we only have a choice between the two of them, and I think Donald is much better. Now, you might ask, well, what's the importance of libertarianism? How few are we? Well, we only get 1% or 2% of the vote as the Libertarian Party, but a lot of times that 1 or 2% is bigger than the difference between the Republican and the Democrat. And also, if you define libertarianism a little more broadly, namely people who favor free enterprise and also personal liberties, you get libertarians in this big 10 cents of about 20%. So the libertarian vote is important. And I think that, look, if you're in California or you're in Massachusetts, vote for the Libertarian Party because Donald is going to lose big. On the other hand, if you're in Texas or Florida, Donald is going to win big, so vote for the Libertarian. However, if you're in a purple state like Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, a few others, then your vote is crucial, and you shouldn't vote Libertarian. You should vote for Donald.
Okay, so just not trying to be a butthead, not trying to make anybody mad. It's just for a guy who my perfect candidate would seek at least a balanced budget. We have neither candidate that's even talking about a balanced budget. That's such a letdown. When are we ever going to get to that if we keep compromising our vote?
Well, I don't think we're ever going to get there. Look, I'd rather have Ron Paul be the president or Rand Paul. Those guys are way closer to, well, not way closer. Ron is Mr. Libertarian, apart from Murray Rothbard. I don't think we're ever going to get to a balanced budget, but that's not the choice we face.
Right.
It's sort of like, Jack Benny, the comedian, he was once had a skit where some guy came up with a gun and said, your money or your life. And he was a great skinflint. And then Jack Benny said, I'm thinking. The point is, you're not going to get what you want, and you're offered your money or your life, and you take your life. It's better than losing your money. Donald is better than Kamala, so I think it's unambiguous that we libertarians should support Donald.
Well, since I have the economics chair of Loyola University on the phone, your reaction to the Federal Reserve cutting rates today?
Well, I'm a big fan of Ron Paul, and you know what Ron Paul's view would be? End the Fed. I don't think the Fed ought to be determining interest rates. I think interest rates ought to be determined by the free enterprise system. So I have no strong views as to whether they should raise it an inch or lower it an inch. And it would be the same thing for price gouging or rent control or any of that stuff. The libertarian view would be to end it. So, what's my view on whether rent control should be raised by 1% or 2%? We should get rid of rent control. What about price gouging? Get rid of that problem. What about the Fed? End the Fed.
Yeah, I guess you're probably not a big fan of the price controls put forward by Kamala Harris.
Not a real big fan.
No.
That's an understatement. Yes.
All right. I encourage you, if you're looking for some good books to read, start with Walter Block. The fun ones are Defending the Undefendable, both 1 and 2. I've been through both of those. I'm not going to lie and say I've read all your books, Walter, but I've read like 6 of them out of these. But is that where you would tell people to begin?
Well, yes, Defending 1, 2, and now I've got 3 already published. I also have a series on privatization, why we should privatize highways, streets, roads, rivers, lakes, space race, whatever. But if you're talking about favorite books, I wouldn't put my favorite books, or rather, I wouldn't put my books as the favorites. I would put Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, and I would put Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. Those are the two books that converted me to libertarianism, and my main mentor and guru is Murray Rothbard, so I would say any of his books. And once you've dipped into those three people, fine. I'd be happy to have people read my books as well. But those are three of my favorite people.
Oh, looking at being humble and deferential on top of it. Walter Block, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
There he is. Walter Block, economics chair at Loyola, making the libertarian case for Donald Trump. How would you convince a libertarian, or how would you convince someone on the fence? How would you convince a moderate to vote for Trump over Kamala? What's your pitch? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. You can run it by us. You can practice it on us. We'll give you a little bit of feedback, tell you if that works. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. America is built by pitchmen. Let me hear your pitch. Convince a stubborn old butthead libertarian like me that I need to vote for Trump. 800-288-9227. Let's start with Lawrence in Grapevine. You're on WBAP. What you got?
Thank you for taking my call. Let me see if I can answer that question, because I just finished talking to a retarded elderly black lady, 3 years older than me. I'm 67. We was in Target, and she was hollering, Kamala, Kamala. And I say, whoa, 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 whoa. I say, hold it. Well, Trump's a felon. I say, hold it. I say, let's keep it 100. This is politics. They want to muddy the man up, dirty the man up, so he can't be acceptable to the public at large. That was the whole purpose for the trial. He wasn't no more guilty than anybody else, but the point is, this is dirty politics. And I tried to explain to her, I said, look, we even gave close to $200 billion to Ukraine, them damn Nazis. We got veterans sleeping under the bridges down here in Texas. I come from Flint, Michigan. We don't even have clean drinking water. But you gonna tell me vote for Joe Biden and Kamala? I say, really? You gonna tell me Trump's a racist when Joe Biden got a history of racism? I say, come on, sister. I'm not your sister. The point that I'm making is this. You cannot convince a damn idiot. You entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own truth. The truth of the matter is we are in deep doo-doo, and Biden and Kamala and the Democrats got us here. Now, in order for us to get out of this, we're going to have to take some drastic measures. We're going to have to vote. We're going to have to involve a man that has proven that he know what to do. Trump ain't scared of these people. I'm not scared of them. Trump get in, these damn illegals go self-deport, a lot of them, because they know what time of day it is. But if we don't vote for Trump, we're going to get more of the same, and it's going to get worse. We in this senseless war in Europe because of the Democrats. We giving all this money to every other entity except America. Look at our schools. Look at our infrastructure. Look at our whole totality. And you're going to tell me you want more of the same? See, the point is, you can't convince an idiot of the truth, because the idiot lives in a bubble.
Lawrence, I hate to interrupt you. Do you work in sales? Are you a salesman of some sort?
I'm not a salesman. I'm just old school from Flint, Michigan. I talk to the police. I speak at city council meetings. I am a person who's active. I'm active in UAW politics.
Yeah, but you do some sort of public speaking. You're something like that. Teacher?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a public speaker. My background is General Motors, security. You know, I'm licensed security in the state of Texas. I do a lot of things, personal protection, bodyguard work. I'm old school. I came to Texas because General Motors paid us to come here. And now, if it wasn't for Governor Abbott, I'd have been left this doggone state.
All right.
Been left it.
All right, Lawrence, you made a great pitch. I just got to take some more calls. That was fantastic. That's a lot of what I'm looking for. Be more like Lawrence, callers. Let's try Trish in Sherman. Make your pitch for me, Trish.
Hey, yeah, I don't like their policies on abortion.
Who? Libertarians or Kamala or who?
Biden and Harris.
Okay.
And Walz. Walz was the governor in Minnesota, and he approved and was okay with botched abortions not giving those babies medical treatment. 8 of them died because he passed that. And then he also passed a bill that said, oh, by the way, we're not going to count those.
Yeah, we're not gonna keep that statistic anymore. They started keeping the statistic in like 2016, and after 5 years, a bunch of babies had died. And he's like, "Oh, we're going to change that rule. It's making us look bad." Well,
correct.
The abortion argument is something really different in real life versus what we see on TV and the radio. Because if you put me in a room with someone, I can make almost anyone on either side come off of their argument. If you're a pro-choice person, I would say, okay, you can have an abortion all the way up until the point of birth. Yeah. What about 5 seconds before it's born? Well, I don't know about that. Okay. Well, then you're not completely pro-choice. You favor some restrictions. And for people who say life begins at conception, and like, really, conception, not implantation, or not like a heartbeat or the quickening or, a measurable pulse, something like that. So that would make IVF murder when you get rid of those other embryos. Are you really against, discouraging in vitro fertilization? And people will come off that position. Almost everyone is in a gray area. We just don't want to have the conversation because we get beat up by the extremists on either side, and we shouldn't.
Correct.
All right, well, let me take in one more call. That's good stuff, Trish and Sherman. Well done. Adam, Mount Pleasant, you're next up on WBAP. What do you think, Adam?
Well, if I was talking to somebody who's on the fence, I'd be doing just like everyone else on the conservative Republican side and saying, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Groceries are sky high. Gas is sky high. Utilities are high. Homeowners insurance has increased. Auto insurance has increased. But the wages have not increased. 1-2% wage increase is not keeping up with the prices that we're paying for everything. For example, a can of Rotel tomatoes, you could get them for 69 cents a can 4 years ago. Now they're $1.49.
Wow.
Nothing's changed.
Well, see,
it's
the reason why
tomato.
In every election cycle, when someone says that, you have to respect it because they're not complaining about the person. They're not complaining about the other guy's mean or the other guy's a racist or he's sexist or he hates women or he's a dummy or he's evil or he's bought off or no, it's just forget the people. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? You're forcing people to actually think about, even if they don't think about like direct platform, direct policy positions, they have to think about the indirect results of these policy positions. And really, it's all about the economy. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And that's always going to be a legit question, madam. Good stuff. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. 800-288-9227. We're 48 days until the next election. Is that Federal Reserve rate cut, is that really just a coincidence? I'm going to ask Bill Dindy next. He's a financial strategist. He's going to be on the James Show in about 10 minutes. Also, coming up October 19th, you can join millions who are in funding for groundbreaking research and providing crucial resources for those facing breast cancer with the Susan G. Komen Dallas, North Texas Race for the Cure, Saturday, October 19th. Register now. Komen.org/Dallas Race. Ending breast cancer needs all of us. Komen Race for the Cure, October 19th. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Listen, I don't get a whole lot of complaints. I know you think, you may think because I have a job on this station and I hold opinions I do, that I'm swamped with people who are saying horrible things to me. I get it quite a bit, but it's maybe 1 out of like 50 messages are negative. So it's not like it's overwhelming. But they don't even know how to insult me. So I have a video that I put up online. Go check out our videos wherever you're looking at videos. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. But on one of them, it was, which side is more fascist? And I don't know if you remember the segment. I had to replay it because a bunch of people liked it. It became my most watched video. It actually finally passed Blonde Kamala as my most popular video on Facebook. And all it was an Austrian immigrant who lived under Hitler's rule when she was a girl, explaining what their policies were, their economic policies, their social policies. And I was going through just playing little sound bites and asking you if that sounded more like Team Red or Team Blue. And then some guy comes down here and he says, okay, Steven Crowder, wannabe, good luck spreading your lies. Okay, calling me a Steven Crowder wannabe? That's kind of nice. That's not an insult. Steven Crowder's wildly successful. He's younger than me. He's a little more handsome than me. And he's probably funnier than me. He's a huge success. Yeah, you're right. I am a Steven Crowder wannabe. He makes a lot more money than I do. He has a lot more followers than I do. He a lot more successful career. Yeah, what? Of course I'm a Steven Crowder wannabe. Anyway, good luck spreading your lies. My lies. I'm playing you audio from an Austrian lady who lived under Hitler. What, is she lying? So what a totally failed insult that was. I love my enemies. You guys are great too. 800-288-9227 if you want to jump in the conversation. Joining me again is Raven Harrison back on the James Show. Great to talk to you, Raven. I noticed one of the things that we said on Sunday after the shooting. We did a little special programming here. We were like, they really need to tone down the rhetoric this time. They need to get the message. And so far, they're turning it up, Raven. They are not getting the message.
Correct. They turned it up, and now Trump is at a rally, set to do a rally in New York, and they found explosives in the car. They are going to keep doubling down. They asked Kamala about it point blank, and we got the typical, word diarrhea that comes out of her mouth whenever a direct question is asked. Something about, hey, what do you think about all this rhetoric and what's happening to Trump? And she gave us the old, I grew up in a middle-class family. And,
right. Well, look, we have a better term for that. Instead of a verbal diarrhea, my wife actually invented... I miss Parker. I know. She invented the term air bidet. I think we're going to try and make that stick. She's an air bidet.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That works. But, yeah, so that's what you're basically seeing. And then you see the point cut on the Fed today, which is only for one of two reasons. It's because there are fears of the economy or election interference. And in this case, it's probably both. So she is working it from both angles. Her numbers are tanking. So people are not buying this. And it's crazy. So they've ramped up this rhetoric because it's all they've got.
48 days until the election. Will it work?
It will not work, but the problem is they're going to double down. Everything that's come back has come back to bite her, and she's getting a lot of help. Gavin Newsom saying, okay, yeah, now if you do a meme or any AI, you're going to go to jail, but, here's $150,000 to buy a house if you're illegal. I mean, they are just literally going hard because they know when Trump gets in, the party's over.
At what point does this backfire and the American people go, hey, listen, y'all probably do need to tone it down?
It already has, but what you're going to see is the media is not going to back check. They're not going to fact check themselves any more than you have people going, I checked to see if I was speeding, and I wasn't, so I'm not going to give myself a ticket.
Right.
But that's what the feds like to do is, hey, we'll take our own inventory, and, we did it, and we're great. So that it is going to backfire. People are waking up. The news just is not reporting that. They are not reporting that all of a sudden all these 911 calls about people having their cats eaten, that was true. Everything that Kamala said was a lie. That's been fact-checked. They're not going to report that either. So that's what we're doing. But people are responding. Look at the numbers after one of the moderators of the ABC debate. He's down 1 million followers and views, and that's 12%. People are fed up with the crap.
Well, the other thing we were expecting to happen by now, and granted, it's only, Wednesday, but Mayorkas still has a job. The Secret Service director, he's only been in that position for 2 months, but he still has his job. I haven't seen anybody get fired or anything. They're not treating it like anything happened.
Well, nobody got fired, but boy, do you see the sparks happening when DeSantis said, yeah, we're not going to hand over this guy. We're going to do the investigation because why should we let you guys, this is the second time. Whatever's going on, nobody's been fired, and this is the second or third attempt on President Trump. So we know that there's a mole or something going on with that. And we called that too, didn't we, James? Told you there's no way somebody could have known he was on that course at that time. Somebody's leaking President Trump's information because that is the Democrats' plan B. They don't have a plan A for getting Trump has to be gone. And it's really, really scary times, but I'm proud of Trump. He's always in boss mode. He's still out there doing it. He's still fighting for the people, and this can't work because if this works, then that's what will happen anytime a Republican gets near an office is you're going to start seeing bomb threats and all this kind of other stuff. So the Democrats can't do this. All I would just say is Democrats have to stop shooting people.
Raven, plug your websites.
Okay, it's going to be, we're fighting back at theroarmission.com and ravenharrison.com. If people want to know what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to push back against this.
Good stuff. Raven Harrison again on the James Show. Thank you again for your time. And I'm going to ask you some of the same questions I was just asking, Raven. Is there going to be some point where they actually do admit, oh man, we need to tone down the rhetoric, or are they just going to keep ramping it up? They don't care if this happens again. Maybe they want it to happen again. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. This is The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.